Welcome back to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the shocking allegations directed at WWE owner Vince McMahon and WWE legend Brock Lesnar. And ironically, they've just announced a $5 billion deal with Netflix. The next Netflix crime documentary could be this. Be perfect. Or is it even a crime? We're going to talk about the details today. Because I think perception is important with this sort of stuff. Because Vince McMahon, for decades, played a horrible, evil boss who would manipulate his employees and force women into compromising positions and throw his weight around. They say wrestling's fake. I'm not really sure how fake it is anymore. But that was a character, and we do have to try and remove that from our minds and just look at the facts for what they are. But there's two sides to every story, and we already know that, you know, this is the allegations towards him, which are going to be as bad as possible, and then Vince's defense will try and make him look as good as possible. So our job today is to look at the allegations and think where the truth might lie. Now, what we do know is that Vince is 78 years old and that the accuser, Janelle Grant, is 44 years old, or 43, depending on where you look on Google. And she is claiming that she has been a victim of sex trafficking, coercion, grooming, and quite a lot of things. Now, the reason I'm bringing up her age is 44, you're a grown-ass woman. You could have a 24-year-old daughter who's got a child and one on the way. You could have grandkids, yeah? And you're old enough at 44 to understand that decisions have consequences and you are responsible for those decisions. Now, despite Vince stepping down from the WWE and resigning, he is actually denying this. I think him having 11% ownership in the WWE means he does not want to affect business by having these rumors going around in this lawsuit. So he stepped down, but his lawyer has said that the lawsuit is full of lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and a vindictive distortion of the truth. He will vigorously defend himself. So let's look at what Janelle is actually accusing Vince of, because apparently in 2019, in Vince's building that he lives in, the penthouse apartment of, this woman was in that building, living there, and struggling to get a job, and Vince became aware of that. Now, keep in mind that this woman had no corporate work experience prior to meeting Vince, and therefore, really, Vince had no business offering her a job of any sort whatsoever. Now, Vince did have meetings with this woman, several of them, prior to them ever working together, where she claimed he did a number of inappropriate things for someone having, you know, a business meeting, such as turning up in his underwear. There's a red flag. He was also touching her legs, asking for hugs, and he warned her to keep their closeness a secret, because these meetings weren't being held in a fucking office where everyone could see, right? It was very private in, I think, a condo that he had. And this woman would have known full well Vince McMahon is a married man and has been for fucking 50 years or something. So this was all prior to her taking any sort of job from Vince McMahon. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go for job interviews, usually the geezer opposite us, they're not wearing their boxer shorts. And if that did happen to me, probably not for me, this bit weird here, isn't it? So the red flags were there that this wasn't that kind of employment from get-go, before anything was agreed. Now, Janelle said she's struggling for money, and Vince proposed an agreement where she would have employment in exchange for sex. Now, the employment ended up being about 200 grand a year, plus gifts, which ended up being in the tens and tens of thousands of pounds as well on top of that. Now, Janelle said she had, and I quote, no choice but to take the job. 44 years old, could have worked your entire life to build yourself a career in which you were earning a good wage and didn't have to take a role as a professional prostitute at a company with Vince McMahon, but apparently you've got no choice in the matter. How about don't take the job? Wild idea. Just go with it. Say no. Thanks, Vince. Not really interested in 78-year-olds, mate. I'll catch you later. But no, she did take the job, despite claiming she felt trapped. It's weird. I don't feel trapped before I take a job. I feel trapped when I'm in the job sometimes. But that's the point where you've got the opportunity to just walk out. The way this is written is if you put a fucking gun to her head. 200 grand a year is not a gun to your head. Yeah, I think Pretty Woman got $3,000 for like a week. That you've really come up trumps, you, like 44 as well. You're not getting any younger. So, and the way it's written in the document that her lawyer submitted is she succumbed to the pressure. The way this is just so written so that she has absolutely no responsibility for the agreement that she agreed to is mind-blowing to me. This is a 44-year-old woman, and they're trying to make it out like it's a sleazy boss who like had a worker working under him from like being an intern from like a teenage manager, and then 5 years in, one day he starts putting pressure onto her to give him sexual favours in order to keep her job. That, I can understand how you'd feel trapped in that situation. This is a 44-year-old woman who on day one, Vince McMahon goes, want to shag us for money? And she goes, yeah, all right then. What are we talking about here? Don't get me wrong, he's not a great person for doing that. I don't commend it. But let's have it right. This is a grown-ass woman who is agreeing to have sex for money. Lots of it. And I'm not saying it didn't go too far down the road, or we're going to look into that. But right now, as it stands, she knew what she was entering into, and the way it's worded here as if she didn't have a clue, it's ridiculous. And I'm not on Vince's side or anyone's side, but you've just got to make sense, and this ain't making sense here. I succumbed to the pressure. I had no choice. Fucking walk out the door. You can't be 44 acting like some little kid wet behind the ears, man. He then makes a bullshit job up for her called administrative coordinator, where she's basically coordinating the cum out of his balls. And she admits she even struggled to look busy in the office because her co-workers were all so busy and she was sat twiddling her fucking thumbs. So she was under no illusion of her purpose in this company at all from get-go. So let's look at the gift she got on top of her 200 grand a year. Alternative medical care, clubhouse access to the horse racing, and lovely ladies day out, WrestleMania private transportation, premium tickets, all of the above. 2 grand in a Nordstrom gift card, which is like dresses, shoes, jewelry. Fill your boots up. Enjoy. It's on me. A massive box of Godiva, which apparently is chocolates. Very posh ones. $20,000 in surgery. Well, if I'm going to play with them every day, they might as well be bigger. A pearl diamond necklace. A whole bunch of cashmere clothing, sunglasses, a blanket, a large bouquet of flowers delivered every other week, a 2022 brand new BMW, a 5 grand gift certificate for a spa day, private chef catered dinners, golden diamond necklaces, $15,000 worth of Bloomingdale gift cards, took her to Saudi Arabia, large bouquet of flowers delivered every other week once again, just showered with gifts. I'm going to be real, all of you women watching this right now, however few there are of you, God bless you, thanks for the view, you could never know what that's like. This is the elite level treatment here. Now, I'm just saying this all for context because clearly she was getting a lot out of the situation. I'm not even sure you're allowed to receive those kind of gifts through employment law anyway, but she's picking and choosing, you know, what rules she follows, it seems. And in the document, it says that Miss Grant took her employment seriously. How? You're just literally replying to Vince McMahon all day with these sex texts. When you read these in Vince's voice, it is funnier. Why not let others see that voluptuous body and watch you shake uncontrollably when you come? Now I know how other people felt when they laughed at me. So basically, he's just clearly making a load of like fantasies up in his head and trying to get her to play along while he probably gets off on it. Maybe I'll just line them up and have them squirt in your mouth, all over your tits and ass, and taste everybody's cum. It's that sort of wild shit, yeah? This 78-year-old man who's probably fucked half of the WWE divas in the past, right? It's going to take a lot to get this old fucker off. This one really does seem like proper fantasy shit. So Vince says, I've just passed my phone around to a bunch of guys on the tech crew. They're looking at pictures of you. She's fucking beautiful. Look at that ass. I'd like to get that. I don't think he's really passing his phone around. I think that he's making this up to make it out like all these men are going to fuck her. Could be wrong. I paused to count how many guys there were. 12. And then I said, okay, there's 12 of you, and she would love to fuck each and every one of you. It's just clearly fantasy talk, this, to me. Oh, you would say that, wouldn't you, Geordie? Stop the comments. I know they're coming. So is everyone else on here, apparently. That's you, Janelle. You can't get enough, can you? In the future, it's going to be so bad that you'll demand to be fucked twice a day, and not with blacked out in a 3-way. That must be someone else. It certainly doesn't prove that it wasn't consensual because conveniently there are no replies from her in which she is saying, no, I don't want to do this. So we have to take this at face value. Yes, Vince is dirty. Shock. Despite this woman's lack of actual paperwork to do in her actual job, she would spend a lot of her days just sending him nudes, videos, and that sort of shit. And she said that she felt compelled to because of his control over her employment. And that's what I kind of have a problem with here, is like she's framing it as if like out of the blue he starts asking her for nudes when she was just cracking on with her work. No, this was the agreement from day one. There was no work to be done. He wasn't dragging you away from a deadline you had to make. There was no deadlines. The only deadline is, I want to see a picture of your ass on the table by the end of today. And I'm not saying that that makes Vince a good person. Yeah, he's shitty. Yeah, it's a bit creepy. But you knew this. Convenient amnesia we're looking at here. I get if you'd been working there for 5 years and out of the blue this happens, that's very inappropriate, but this isn't that. From day one he said, this is what I want from you, and you went, yeah, okay then, I'll take the money. Then the surprise. Man, I was just trying to get him on with my job, and then this She keeps asking us for pictures. I'm just saying, this ain't your classic sleazy boss story when you agreed to be sleazy together knowing he was a married man. Now I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. You're 44 years old, love. You knew fine well what the deal was. Now, to be fair, as I said earlier, maybe it went further than she was expecting, and I can accept that. Apparently, she did sustain injuries from having sex with McMahon. I don't know if any of these were proven, if any of the scientific evidence to this. I haven't got a clue. Maybe this is just her word against his. But apparently, he did use sex toys on her, and the weird bit, and it's hard not to find this funny, is he would name them after WWE wrestlers that he thought they resembled. I don't know if he played their entrance music as he got them out of the fucking box or whatever. Well, it's the big show! That would be a scary one, wouldn't it? Jesus Christ, you got to be on your game the day, love. Lube up. 7'2", that fucker. God knows what the dildo equivalent was. I don't want to say The Rock either. What other wrestlers made good dildos? Huh? Fuck, no. Now, he'd be an easy day's work. He's a little one, because he was a little fella. Chris Benoit would be a killer. Bad choice of words. Undertaker. All the lights go out. Comes out of a coffin. There's your dildo. Janelle then claims that Vince McMahon instructed her to have one of several threesomes that she would end up having. And the first time, apparently, she said, no, I don't want to do it. Vince then says, well, I want you to do it because I love you. She then agrees. Now, for the life of me, whether or not Vince did say he loved her or not, you've agreed. It's consensual. What difference does it make if he said, I love you? I don't think it makes a fucking blind bit of difference. There are men all over the world right now saying that they love girls in order to get them to sleep with them. I don't know if that's a crime. It makes you a bit of a shithead. Yeah, no pun intended. We'll get to that. I'm not saying Vince was a good dude, but I'm not sure what relevance that this has. This woman was a 44-year-old woman consenting and getting paid a lot of money. The threesome then happened between her and him and a physical therapist who Vince happened to be good friends with. I guess Vince is just sitting chatting to this physical therapist while he's fucking having work done on him, going, yeah, I've got this lass, do you want to shag her with us? Do you know, like, that's the kind of scenario I'm getting here. The physical therapist is a bit weird. All right then, bro, it's Vince McMahon. What the fuck are you doing? Do you really want to see 78-year-old Vince McMahon naked? I don't care what the woman looks like. No one needs to see that. The fact that he's paying her so much to see that was for good reason. He's fucking minging. I've got no problem with her taking all that money to look at someone that old naked. Fair play. You should be compensated. It's rank. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit worse, to be honest with you. Now, she does claim that during this, apparently, Vince somehow managed to shit on her head. And Vince then nipped off for a shower while he instructed her to carry on pleasuring the other dude with shit still in her hair. He's 78. Maybe he tried to squeeze a fart out and it went wrong while he was getting, you know, pleasured off her or whatever. It's said as if this was a thing. I don't know if this was a thing. It might have just been an accident. At 78... I don't know how in control of his bowels he is. We just don't know, is the point. But you'd think at that point, if you're a woman in that scenario and you're getting paid this money, you're probably thinking at that point, like, enough's enough, yeah. Like, because if you're a conscious person and someone shits on your head, you usually leave, do you? I don't know anyone that's happened to. But no, she stayed. Now, another man who was involved in this is John Laurinaitis, who was an on-screen talent, but also one of the bosses at WWE, a right-hand man, so to speak, of Vince McMahon. Apparently, him and Vince shagged her in his office. Now, she has quoted them in this situation saying that they said, no means yes and take it, bitch, intimating that it wasn't consensual. May I remind you all that she consistently agreed and turned up to all of these sexual encounters and kept on coming back for more. Her quoting them, saying this, without any proof whatsoever, by the way, that they said this, doesn't prove anything. Like, I'm just being objective here. It just gets more and more weird the more I read this stuff. On top of that, she also agreed to start having sex with John Laurinaitis individually. So in the morning, he'd wait at a hotel, she'd pop in, they'd have sex. She'd then tell Vince about it so that Vince could get off on it because she knew that Vince would enjoy that. And look, I'm not suggesting she enjoyed all of this at all. She might not have. She may have. Who knows? I don't know. And I think it's easy reading this, knowing that none of us would want to be doing that, to think, well, that's not right. She shouldn't have to do that. Well, yeah, but like, we're not in her life. She chose to do that. And look, I just want to be clear. Like, I don't think any of this is good. I think this is gross, disgusting, but just because I think it's gross and disgusting does not mean that it should be illegal for a woman who's 44 and wants to go and do that and get paid. That's her decision. But I think two consenting adults should be able to exchange money and do what the fuck they want, really. I don't really care about prostitution, which is what this is. And this is where Brock Lesnar comes into it. Now, I'm a big Brock Lesnar fan, right? But this just is a bit weird now because Vince has instructed her to make sexual pictures and videos to send Brock Lesnar as a part of some sort of negotiation he was having with Brock in order to get him to re-sign with the WWE. And it kind of comes across as some weird sort of like banter between Vince and Brock, because these are guys who've known each other for decades and they're not normal people and they're not behaving like normal people at all here. So Vince sends these things to Brock as some sort of offer of a reward if he signs, and apparently he messages her back, Vince, and says Brock likes what he sees. She then claims that a sexual encounter was set up between her and Brock, I think in the middle of some sort of business meeting between Vince and Brock, but apparently Brock got too drunk and didn't show up. To even think that that happened is just weird. It gets even weirder because Vince McMahon, because Brock didn't show up, then went and gave her a rough sex night where he role-played as Brock Lesnar. I don't know if he gave her the F5 finishing move or what, but apparently it was rough sex that night. And I'll repeat, none of this sounds nice, but she was there, doing it by her own choice. So apparently Vince texts Janelle saying, here's what he said after I told him that the part of the deal was fucking you. Brock replied, lol, that's your turf. She will be ruined after me and leave your ass. Plus, after me, your tool won't fit anymore, with a bunch of laughing emojis. Where Brock seemingly is sort of saying, look, that's your chick and I'm not really into this weird thing that you're into. So apparently Brock Lesnar messaged her directly after that and asked for a video of her pissing, because apparently that's what Brock Lesnar's into. And apparently she did do it for him. Piss and video it for Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Weird. And the way she's described it in the document is unable to recognize herself. She did it. Meaning, I don't know who I am anymore. This isn't really me, but I did it anyway. You're fucking 44, man. A man's asked you for a video of you pissing, and you've sent him a video of you pissing. Even then, just a little bit of shred of acceptance that I am responsible for anything I fucking do as a grown-ass woman is non-existent in this entire document. You haven't shot anyone. You've had a slash and fucking recorded it and sent it to a dirty man. Own it, for Christ's sakes. And she's dragging Brock Lesnar through the dirt here. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there any need? Well, there is, isn't there? There is. So this all happened between about 2019 and 2022, and it was around 2022 where Vince decided to break it off. Vince had said that his wife had gotten word of the affair, if you want to even call it that, because that would even suggest that there was some form of romance here, which doesn't really feel like, and that she needed to get the fuck out of WWE, and, you know, we'll break this off here and I'll make sure that you're sweet financially from it. The reason she had to leave the WWE, of course, was that she didn't even have a real fucking job, and that the only job she was there for was to fuck Vince McMahon. So Vince offers her $1 million to sign a NDA, obviously to keep her mouth shut and sweep everything under the carpet, but she declined. Yeah, funny old thing. She says, I'm going to need $3 million due to loss of earning potential, despite the fact that when he met her, she didn't have 2 pennies to rub together and couldn't get a job for love nor money. Not sure what earning potential we're talking about there, but yeah, she wanted $3 million quid, and Vince accepted that, and it would basically be a $1 million upfront job with another, you know, 500 grand, I think, every 6 months up until the $3 million was paid off. Now, as part of the chat at the time, he did actually instruct her to keep on, you know, appeasing Brock Lesnar if he messaged her. I don't know if that really happened or if Brock Lesnar was just messaging her and she wanted to try her luck with him and get some cash out of him, but she carried on messaging Brock Lesnar. She sent him more photographs. Brock apparently was going to fly in and fuck her at one point. The weather was bad. He didn't fly in. That never happened. That was where Brock Lesnar checks out with this story. And since then, Brock Lesnar was pulled from last weekend's Royal Rumble that he was scheduled to appear in. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen to Brock in this, but he's definitely not come out smelling of roses. Although he probably smells better than she did during that threesome. After the initial $1 million payment was made and the further payments were scheduled to be made, the leak about Vince McMahon's several NDAs that he'd had signed by multiple women, I think, who worked at the WWE at one point or another, got out, and Vince did not pay the remaining money that she was owed as part of her NDA. She only got the $1 million. Still a lot of fucking money, like, but that probably is part of the reason why we're now getting this full-length lawsuit from her. And she is claiming that she is so traumatized and so unable to function now because of what she's been put through, she can no longer work again. So therefore, she's going to need a fuckload of money from Vince McMahon to make sure she's comfortable for the rest of her life. Who's seen that coming? Now, I know a lot of what we've just read is going to be the absolute worst possible scenario put across by her lawyers to make Vince look as bad as possible. Vince's lawyers will then do the exact opposite and try and make him look as good as possible, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. However, when I look at this, even still with without Vince's side of the story, it looks like a very straightforward situation where someone was paid money for sex, knew fine well what they were getting themselves involved in. They didn't quite get as much money as they hoped for, and now they're using a lawsuit to try and get more money, as much money as possible. But do I buy into the idea that she was some innocent little victim who had no idea what she was doing here? That, like the way they put it across? Absolutely not. You knew fine well what you were doing, as did he. Triple H has since responded. He is now sort of the acting face and leader of the WWE now that Vince McMahon is no longer there.
Did you read the lawsuit that came out this week? And if you did, what was your reaction to it?
I did not. I did not.
That's his father-in-law and the granddad to his children. And there's a lawsuit where this man has been removed from the company and you're claiming you haven't bothered to read the lawsuit. I've read the lawsuit, bro. You've been spending Christmas with this fucker for the last 30 fucking years. I'm pretty sure he's read the lawsuit.
I'll go back to what I said before. This is an amazing week for us.
Not really, is it? To have the founding member of the WWE have this lawsuit come out, it isn't amazing. If you win the lottery and a family member dies, you still can't call it amazing.
We're at the most exciting point to me business-wise, I think.
I understand that you can't always tackle things head on when you're a leader of an organization. You've got to sort of play clever. You can't call it exciting. That's not the words to use. You can deflect by all means. Don't do that though. So yeah, I'm not sure he handled that the best. So to wrap this up, I am in no way condoning anything Vince McMahon has done. I don't think any of it is okay morally. I think obviously he's a piece of crap, really, let's be honest. But this woman is 44 and she is refusing to accept a shred of responsibility for her actions when she clearly knew what she was getting herself into and agreed to all of it. And we still haven't heard Vince's side of the story either. So I think that this is far from just a case of he's the bad guy, she's the victim, and that's it, open and shut. I don't think it's as simple as that. Anyway, let me know what you thought of this in the comments below and how you view this case. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. Hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.